mistakes this year planting our pole beans. Planting it here in area 1 was a really good idea. They get full sun and have been very happy. They've done very well. One of the things I didn't know was that it was going to be a problem to be so close to this bush. It's a beautiful bush and it attracts bees, and I thought that would be a good thing. What I didn't know was that it would also attract the beetles, the brown beetles. These beetles love this bush. And so the pole beans, which I planted right behind this bush, are being infested with these beetles, even though the beetles are not touching the beans anywhere else in the garden. So definitely next year, I won't plant the pole beans next to this bush. But that doesn't help me for this year. This year I have the beans. I don't want to use pesticides. It's difficult to pull them off one at a time, and that's even more so because it's such a tangled mess. I really like how this part worked. I planted the squash and the zucchini in front of or around the perimeter of the beans, and I put the beans in the middle around the poles. So now it's easy to get in here to the base. The squash leaves shelter the roots of the beans, and these beans have never wilted even when we've gone weeks without rain. At this point, the zucchini is starting to die back, but I have some marigolds to fill in the spot. That leaves this area shaded. This worked really well, and I like it. Our hope was that as the beans grew up the pole, we could just pick them as they hung down. We've done that before and it worked really well. I was expecting one vine for each plant. But these beans are putting out multiple stems off of the same vine. And so that has made this whole area congested. So I need a plan. I need some way to save as much as I can of the beans and be able to look for those beetles and get them off my plants without using pesticide. I can't put more poles. I can unwind them. I can't put more poles this way because the bush is here. So I'm looking for a way to unwind some of the vines and move them out to the left and the right. Well, this was my first idea. I have this very heavy cast iron window weight that I have. And my thought was, if I attach my yarn to the top of the bean pole, I can run a line down to the ground and anchor it with this weight. That was my first idea. The problem, of course, is if I do that, this weight is always going to be in my way when I mow the lawn. And I don't think I can get very far from where the beans are now, so that's not going to give me as much space as I had hoped for. In order to have it free for mowing, I'm going to have to move this weight to the right, farther and farther. And then I realized if I get far enough up this hill, there's a tree. Well, then why can't I just anchor that yarn in the tree? Not only will that be up high, but the tree is actually on a hill. So I can stand here and reach the branches, and yet it's lifted farther off the ground. Well, if I do that, the beans may hang down and I'll be able to inspect for bugs and pick the beans. That's a good idea. I think I'll try that. Now I have a line going from the tree to the beans. I can unwind these vines now, unhook them, and trellis them over now to my new string. I doubled the yarn. I know that yarn tends to be pretty tough and it only has to last through this harvest or through this season. So I've doubled it up and I hope that will be enough. Now I have beans that are trellised over. I'm hoping that they will continue on the line, and then I'll just be able to reach up. Since I can reach here, I can look for beetles. For example, this damaged leaf, if it were damaged now, I'd be able to get that beetle right off of it. In addition, I should be able to pick them easier, and it's somewhat less cluttered in here. Overall, the bean looks healthy even though it has so much damage to its leaves, and that's why I just want to help it keep going through this year. You can see I have a lot of blooms here. We'll see if this new plan works. I already had some success. I found a few beans that were hiding in the mass that I was able to see once I moved branches of the beans onto the hanging trellis. And I also was able to more easily catch the June beetles. Probably more important, as I was removing the beetles, I also saw some honeybees in amongst the blooms on my bush. I don't want to use a pesticide that would harm the honeybees. They had their pollen sacs full on their legs, and it was wonderful that they've chosen my garden to gather pollen from, and I certainly don't want to put anything on my plants that would harm them. So I'm hoping that this hanging trellis will allow me to keep the June bugs under control without using anything that would be harmful to the honeybees. Well, I've learned things about planting my pole beans. Next year I definitely won't plant it so close to the bush. This is a temporary fix, the hanging trellis, and we'll see if it works. It only has to get me through the end of this season.